What an adventure it has been. After spending 2 weeks in southern Vietnam, it's finally time to discover northern Vietnam. So strap in for the ride because this is definitely a bumpy one. Northern Vietnam is supposedly much better than southern Vietnam. At least that's what everybody's been telling me these past few days. And they're right, northern Vietnam is definitely more breathtaking. The cast remains the same for this trip. It's Cathy and Trent again. We first started off by flying into Hanoi right in time for Halloween, where we partied pretty hard and met a lot of cool people. Then obviously we had to go around Hanoi for a bit and do all the super touristy stuff. The Note Cafe, all the fun little streets with all these cool little shops, and then the world-renowned train street. It's just basically a small back street with a train track running right down the middle. There's all these little cafes, and then every so often you get a train that runs right through the street, and it's very cool. I mean, it's kind of tacky, but it's unique and it makes for some very cool photo opportunities. Anyways, the main attraction and the reason why we came to northern Vietnam was to do the Ha Giang Loop, a crazy 4-day motorcycle adventure around the Ha Giang region of Vietnam. The Ha Giang Loop, it was definitely and confidently the highlight of my Vietnam trip. On the first day, we started off with a general and safety briefing in the morning, and then you get your driver assigned. I had a very nice Vietnamese dude called Beck, and I became his passenger princess for the next 4 days. He didn't speak English very well though, but we still managed to have some good fun. I decided not to drive the loop and ride it as a passenger instead. I just wasn't that confident in my driving abilities, and I wanted to spend time taking pictures and making some nice videos and taking all the landscapes in. So anyways, we all whacked on our helmets and we headed off. There were a small group of 10 to 15 people driving around, but we weren't blessed with the nicest weather on the first day. But the first day was more about getting comfortable on the bikes, finding a good seating position that doesn't hurt your ass after 30 minutes. Spoiler alert, it doesn't exist, and getting to know each other. Very soon we were out of the city and tearing up some nice countryside roads. Day 2 was already a lot sunnier, and we started the day by driving to some more remote parts of Ha Giang, higher up in the hills. After driving for an hour or so, we stopped at this little viewpoint overlooking a beautiful valley. It was an incredibly nice view, and there were also all these little girls braiding flowers into people's hair, so that was pretty nice. Then we had another pit stop overlooking some very rocky hills, another drive, another viewpoint. We stopped to take some pictures and take in as much of the landscape as possible before being reeled in by our drivers to go on to the next stop. A couple more mountains, a couple more valleys, and a hearty lunch later, we made it to the Chinese border, and I'll let you take in the views. There's an empty beat around the room. Only wanna sleep. Could you show me my options? Nothing left to drink. Holding us to the nausea might subside. Anyways, on to day 3 of the loop, which started with an incredible viewpoint overlooking yet another valley. Very soon we headed back down another valley to do a little cruise on a wonderful river. We were dwarfed by incredible looking cliffs and towering mountains, which were absolutely amazing and probably one of the best views of the Ha Giang Loop so far. Unfortunately, it was time to put the camera away after that because we ended up driving some incredibly dusty roads, which my camera isn't very good in. It's quite sensitive to dust, so didn't want to take the gamble. Day 3 was also the day where I found a new cameraman to help me shoot some content for the loop. Meet Thea, who had a lot of fun shooting videos with the GoPro I lent her. So now we get a bit more angles and you actually get to see videos of me traveling instead of just seeing me speak to a camera all the time. After a long day and very sore asses, we made it to our final homestay where we relaxed by the pool before I got very, very sick, unfortunately. I ended up getting pretty bad food poisoning from the lunch we had that day, so unfortunately I had to spend my night throwing up instead of enjoying the good vibes of the last night on the loop, but it is what it is. Day 4 was only marginally better health-wise. We started off by visiting a small waterfall and a natural pool, where everybody got to go for a quick dip before embarking on the very long, bumpy and very, very wet road back to the start point. We were all absolutely exhausted and drenched when we got back to the main hostel. We ordered some pizzas, dried off, hugged everyone goodbye, and that pretty much wraps up the best part of my Vietnam trip. But it wasn't all rainbow and sunshines. Ha Giang opened my eyes up to the fact that we're all kind of living in this backpacker bubble, if I might say. Throughout this trip, I've been to some amazing places already. But if you look back at previous vlogs, you'll maybe notice I'm always exclusively surrounded by Westerners. So while this is definitely not a problem per se, it can sometimes feel like I'm being paraded down the same old beaten path that every backpacker has been down already. You never meet any locals, you rarely get to interact with any of them, and you never actually get immersed in the culture of the country you're in. You're only shown a small taste of it as entertainment for well-off Westerners. And Ha Giang was particularly bad because you have at any given time at least a couple hundred people doing the same tour around one of Vietnam's most rural and poorest regions. Everyone's getting drunk every night and singing karaoke loud as balls in these homestays that are tailor-made for Westerners, while drivers are trying to sleep outside in these makeshift beds. At some point I was sitting on the back of my bike and thinking, fuck man, I'm out here like with a camera around my neck that's worth probably more than what these people make in an entire year. And there's something about that just didn't sit right with me. Anyways, there's really not much I can do about this backpacker bubble, and I'm not really trying actively to escape it. A couple vlogs ago I was talking about how I think the people really make this trip, and I think I wouldn't have enjoyed this trip as much if I was only with local people. But on the other hand, I still have to be conscious that I'm experiencing all these different countries through the prism of a hyper-privileged bubble, basically. But anyways, before closing off the Vietnam trip, we had one more stop, and that was Cap Ba. So I'll open up Kaba with a very big disclaimer. I was very sick when I was there. I was still trying to recover from the food poisoning I got on the Ha Giang Loop, so I definitely didn't enjoy it to the fullest. My first day in Kaba was just spent passing out in bed, unfortunately. So nothing eventful happened there aside from this wonderful picture of me in bed, borderline dying like I'm in a medieval painting, basically. But anyways, for the second day, we met up with Tia again and went for a very nice cruise around Kapa and Ha Long Bay. And that was quite nice. We saw all these rock formations and all these cliffs shooting out of the water. There was also some diving from the boat, snorkeling around the boat, and tanning at the beach. But about halfway through the cruise, we were whisked back to Kapa as we had to catch the last bus to Hanoi, which is also where Katia and I were very, very sad to say our goodbyes to Trent, who's been an absolutely amazing travel buddy. Much love to you, Trent. It was time for him to head off to India, while Katia and I were off to the Philippines. And that basically wraps up 3 weeks in Vietnam. Would I return here? Probably not. I definitely much prefer Thailand, and aside from the Ha Giang Loop and Hoi An, I was really not that impressed with Vietnam as a whole. But anyways, it's time to look to the future and not to the past. So tune in next time to see how my trip to the Philippines went. Peace.